Environmental supports are the next step in the inclusive pyramid. These supports help to create a recreation program that is welcoming and accessible for as many children as possible. Using an environmental support lens to evaluate considerations such as the physical location, program materials, and program structure can help to reframe the typical approach to inclusion. Implementing environmental supports at the beginning helps to shape programs to be inclusive from the ground up. This means less work and adaptations are needed on the fly to accommodate children with disabilities and leaves a lot more time for fun.
Most recreation programs occur in locations where program leaders have little control over the physical space, but there are still plenty of steps you can take to make programs more welcoming. The first step is being aware of elements that may impact participation. For example, if the building doesn't have an elevator or there is not a fence separating an outdoor area from a busy road. Being able to describe the physical environment to prospective participants can help them determine if it is a safe and suitable location or whether additional accommodations may be needed. Whenever possible, try to utilize spaces that are already physically accessible.
The next step is to think through how children with various abilities may navigate the program space. Can a child who uses a wheelchair or a child with a visual disability move easily through the space? Is it possible for all children to sit, play, or interact with their peers? Try to set everything up within your program so that all children can access things as independently as possible, regardless of their ability. This includes access to sensory-friendly and self-regulation spaces. Incorporating these types of spaces into your program can be extremely beneficial. They are not meant for punishment, but are areas where a child can take a moment to gather themselves when they may be feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, too full of energy, or may otherwise need a break.
There are two key spaces that can meet different sensory and self-regulation needs: movement spaces and calming spaces. Movement spaces create opportunities for children to climb, wiggle, dance, move about, or otherwise meet their proprioceptive needs. Calming spaces create opportunities for individuals to interact with various sensory inputs at their own pace, as a tool to ground them or as a place to take an independent break. These spaces don't need to be elaborate or large. It could be a small dedicated space on the sidelines of a soccer field or just a corner of a room. We recommend putting together a small sensory kit for your programs. Items like fidget toys, stress balls, or exercise bands can all be easily found at local dollar stores. For more ideas of what to include, download the Sensory Kit and Self-Regulation Spaces handout.
Having a variety of materials available can make it easier for children with various skills to find something that will work for them. For example, if your program involves arts and crafts, ensure that there are items like large barrel markers or paintbrushes with larger handles, as these are easier for children with limited fine motor skills. For games or sports activities, try to have a mix of balls with different sizes, weights, colors, or textures. You could also slightly deflate a few balls, which would make them easier to catch or slow them down. Experiment with different size bats or adaptive sports equipment like beeper balls. Another factor to consider with program materials is whether they reflect diversity. If your program uses movies, books, toys, coloring sheets, or stories, incorporate materials that reflect diversity. That doesn't mean the topic has to be about disability or diversity. Instead, perhaps add coloring sheets that include a child using a wheelchair or other assistive devices. If you have dolls or action figures, make sure there are a variety of skin tones. Add in stories where a character happens to be deaf or has autism.
Utilizing a variety of visual supports is an excellent environmental support tool that can make your program run more smoothly and promote greater participant independence. There are two different kinds of visual supports: dynamic and static. Dynamic visual supports involve movement. It may be as simple as pairing a thumbs up when saying "good job" or pointing to help reinforce an instruction. It might be an action used to help wind down one activity and get participants' attention, such as Quiet Coyote. It could involve a physical demonstration of an activity or the use of a video to help highlight rules and expectations. It could also involve a participant having a practice round with support and encouragement from a more skilled peer. Static supports are objects, pictures, or signs that are used in addition to text or verbal communication. One of the best examples of a static visual support are team jerseys. They let everyone quickly see who is on their team. Other examples include showing actual objects, such as a finished version of a craft or assignment. Instructions can also include images to help individuals to follow step-by-step instructions more independently. Static supports can also be useful to visually define program space or spaces. For example, if you are only using half of a gym or playing field, you could use simple pylons, tape, or other items to mark boundaries. This can help reinforce rules and expectations for children of all abilities. Signage and labels are often used to help organize materials, identify important program spaces such as bathrooms or group home bases. Always include images in addition to text for these labels, and whenever possible, try to use real images from the program or of the material. For example, on the bin for sports balls, include an image of the balls that are to be stored inside on the label. Images make it easier for children with limited reading abilities, those for whom English may not be a first language, or those who are more visual learners to understand labels.
A clear, consistent program structure provides a strong base of support for all children. While the specific activities may change based on the day, the general flow or schedule of your program should have some predictability. It might be as simple as starting with a group cheer, doing one structured activity, having a short break or snack, doing another structured activity, and then wrapping up. For children who may be nervous or need additional support, knowing the structure and what to expect before the program starts can be a huge benefit. Large format visual schedules are a fantastic way of showcasing what is coming up so that all participants can prepare for transitions. When creating a visual schedule, it is recommended to use numbers to order the activities rather than specific times, as this approach is more flexible and can better accommodate the ebbs and flows that often happen in recreation programs.
Research tells us that 60% of our communication is nonverbal, and a further 30% is tone. Think of all the different ways the phrase, "I'm fine," can be said and the vastly different meanings it might have. When working with children, it is critically important to think about how you communicate. Be positive and clear. Positive instructions remind children what they should be doing, rather than focusing only on what they may be doing incorrectly. For example, on a pool deck, it's more effective to say, "walk," rather than "don't run." Keep it simple and concrete. Avoid multi-step instructions whenever possible and use fewer words. Avoid using jargon or phrases that may not have a very obvious meaning. For example, asking children to respect each other is less clear than using phrases such as "talk one at a time." Always speak directly to the child, even if they have a support worker or are unable to communicate with you verbally. Try to avoid other children, volunteers, or program leaders speaking for them. Recognize that different children may show they are listening in different ways. Try to let go of the notion that active listening requires eye contact and a still body. For some children with disabilities, the effort required to maintain eye contact or avoid fidgeting or moving will actually make it harder for them to listen. Instead, use techniques such as asking questions, call and answer, or repeating after you to check in and ensure that what you are saying is being understood.
Accessible and inclusive recreation programs are designed thoughtfully, with consideration given to the physical location, materials, program structure, and communication styles. When environmental supports are used effectively, they reduce barriers and create a program that is automatically more welcoming for all children.